Hey, it's Alice Seba from eKit Hub, and we've got a very special guest for you here, also known as the Queen of Color, and someone we know that many of our customers adore for the done for you coloring pages she creates for her customers, and also her top-notch advice for using those pages to grow your business. I've personally known her for over a decade and always enjoy our chats about life and business in general. She's super creative, very intuitive with people, and a great person to learn from. And you can probably already see her if you know her. It's our special guest is Lady Rayven Monique, who has been creating online products and coloring books for over 13 years. And she's made over 250 of those products, in fact, and has created a six-figure a year business from all of this. And we're so glad to have her join us for this how to start and grow your coloring book business session. Thanks, Rayven.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I always tell people Alice is one of my favorite people ever.
Wow.
Glad to be here.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's nice. And we've met many times in person. It's been quite a while. I hope we get to do that again sometime soon.
Yes, I miss you.
Well, I guess they probably don't care about that though. So we better get right into the questions. And, let's just start off with a big one. So where is the coloring page or coloring book market? Right. So standing out in terms of their personality more than the actual coloring pages, or
both. So instead of hiding behind a desk and pushing product out, there's an opportunity for somebody who wants to step out into the limelight.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. I mean, that's what the beauty of being able to sell online is connecting with people. And, there's an audience out there for you, and people who will maybe not like you, but people who will love you. And that's where your community comes from. I'm curious though, on videos, you said TikTok and YouTube Live, what would you be doing in
coloring?
Like that? Just coloring?
Yeah, coloring. There's such opportunity for whatever your interests are. And of course, your coloring pages will probably follow that interest, but just talking with people or to people and coloring along as you're doing it.
Oh, so are you showing what you're coloring, or are you showing your face?
A little of both.
Oh.
When I did it, I did a lot of Facebook Lives, and it's been a few years, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But when I did it, I would start out by showing me, and I would talk what we were going to discuss that day, and people would start to type in their questions or what their thoughts were, and then I would turn the camera and I would just color. And the session lasted as long as it took me to color a page.
Oh, well, fun. And if people love coloring, then they're going to love doing that.
Exactly.
So what's a better, it totally makes sense. And yeah, I think I loved the answer, although I don't know if people are comfortable with it, but you did say something like, whatever you decide to do. And yes. I think that's true, because you're going to do, you're going to put your full self into it, right? And then,
exactly.
Obviously people make money with printed books. They make money with the digital.
Go down the Amazon or the Etsy path. And when you're getting started, perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But you'll come to a point in your business where you'll be like, you know what? I'm starting to gain sales. I'm starting to gain a following. Now it's time to go ahead and duplicate that on your own website as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, we always encourage our customers to have their own website, because you also want to be able to funnel those customers from Amazon and Etsy to be on your list. Mm-hmm. Those customers belong to those platforms. And while you may be able to message your Etsy customers, it's not really practical for ongoing marketing. So yeah, if you just want to get started. But having that home base is always going to be a good thing. And we've had an Etsy shop shut down a couple of times, and we don't even know why. Yeah. And then they bring it back. They're like, "Oh, we're sorry, it was a mistake." I'm like, "Okay, but what happened?" Right? It was just gone.
And it was inconvenient. But can you imagine if that was your sole source of income?
Yeah. So let's talk more about building a website. What would you say are the most critical things to have on if you're going to build your own?
A buy button. really, you want a place that your customers are able to get onto your list. That's probably the most critical thing that you can have on your website, is a way that people can get onto your email list. And I don't care what you're selling. Having a way to communicate with your customers is paramount in this world of online marketing. You know, there's so much emphasis on getting out there on social media. You know what? My sales are made in my email list. That's where my sales are made. And so it's going to be really important for you to have a place that your customers can come to your site. They can join your list, and that's most likely going to be in the form of some sort of an opt-in offer or a freebie that you give them. By the way, quick little pro tip here. If you're selling coloring pages, don't give away too many for free. And what I mean by that is there comes a like a cap that people have. Oh, I've got enough coloring pages, I shouldn't buy more. You know, when I'm done with these, then I'll buy more. And so we don't want to ever make it giving them too many freebies, because then they won't open their wallets and take out their credit card and actually purchase anything. What I would do is I had 12 free coloring pages, and each month of the year was one coloring page, and I would repeat that coloring page every year. So December's coloring page was always a stocking every year. And so on the 1st of December, I would send out an email to my list that said, hey, come and get this month's freebie. And they had that one free coloring page, and it led to led to other offers. But the most important thing on your website is a way for them to get onto your list. And then you do want, you know, the basics, the privacy policy and the contact and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you could see me writing.
I saw you
writing follow-up questions, a bunch of them all at once. But maybe I want to go back. Okay, so what we were like most critical thing to have on your website. You mentioned social media, and social media is great, right? You can grow a huge following, but the value of each follower is way less than an email subscriber. An email subscriber is so valuable, and it's someone you can repeat, you can talk to over and over again, which you can on social media too. You're at the mercy of the social media platform showing your posts, of course, but email is similar. But the fact is that people expect to get sales pitches by email. They don't really expect it on social media. They're also scrolling a bunch of other stuff. But an email, if they see your subject line and decide to open it, they're focused on what you have to say, and you can sell to them very easily through there. So I appreciate the pro tip as well. And you said don't give away too many free coloring pages, and I'm going to maybe put you on the spot here, but is there what else could you give for free to somebody who's interested in buying coloring?
Tell them how to make magic in their pictures.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know how to color, so I would need to learn all those things. And then, so the other question that, that comes to mind, and I think a lot of people ask too, is like, you're giving away some free, you can find free coloring pages everywhere. So I get personally why people would buy a printed book, but why do people want to buy digital downloads when they seem abundant everywhere, right?
Well, they do because they follow the person that's doing it. They follow the page that's doing it, the community that's doing it. The community is a really, really important aspect of all of this. One of the pros that we always talked about with the digital coloring books is that you can print off as many copies as you want or need. So you can redo the page 100 different times, or if you make a mistake, you can throw it out and start again, or you can, have your children color with you if you wanted that to happen. So there's a lot more flexibility with that.
Right.
With the pages, it's like if you get a package and you can just print the ones that you like and not have to deal with the waste of having the ones that you don't, just littering up. And I tell you, I've bought so many coloring books. I had bookshelves full of them, just, competitors and just fun things that I saw that I liked. And that takes up a lot of space. So, there's a waste thing there too with it.
Yeah, for sure. So we've kind of touched on this, but maybe you have like a special technique or something or idea for us. But what is the most effective way, again, to grow a list of coloring book or coloring page buyers, like people who want to buy? Because we could all grow a list of people who will opt in for a coloring page, but how do we get ones that want to buy?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you my strategy and how I grew my list like crazy fast with Color Happy. And what we did is every month we would do a coloring contest. So I mentioned that free coloring page. And so it would be themed around that free coloring page. And it was enter the contest. You get a free coloring page. Go ahead and color it and submit it to the contest. And we made it clear. Our big motto was that we just wanted them to show up as them, that there was no judgment. We didn't care how you colored it. It was if you submitted a page, you got a certain number of entries, and it was a random drawing. So there was no judging.
Okay.
And when they went ahead and entered the contest and claimed their free coloring page, I would then offer them immediately a free physical coloring book. We didn't do a lot with physical coloring books. We did have a presence on Amazon, but we gave away one free, because it is fun getting something tangible in the mail. That is something that really does light people up. So it was free plus shipping. So we charged them $4.95 for shipping. I think it cost me between $6 and $10 if it was domestic versus international, to ship it. But when they did that, they also got a free month to our subscription program. And they generally stayed, our attrition rate they usually stayed about 3 to 4 months. So we did make back our money on it. And it gave them an opportunity to really see everything that we had. And we did great with that free coloring book offer.
Yeah, that's brilliant, actually. Very smart, because I can see, like, if you made an offer for a digital download, I think it wouldn't have been as effective as that coloring book in the mail. Just pay for the shipping, it's free, and adding the memberships, then you have the recurring income. Yes. I love that idea. I think that our customers should steal that one. She told me.
Yes. And there's something about being gifted with something tangible that creates this unspoken reciprocal relationship. So and it's like kind of like on a psychological level, that they feel that maybe they'll give it more of a chance than if they would have just something fleeting that was a digital that they stuck on their computer and forgot. So we had a lot of success with it. It was a lot of fun.
So so you took the money for it, and then how did the book get shipped? Did it go straight from Amazon or somewhere else? Or?
Yeah, I just collected the money via PayPal, and then I would drop ship it.
Okay. And when you drop shipped it, would you be able to add something into the package, or it just went straight out? Yeah.
It just went straight out. And the international ones, I had quantity here, so I would, because it was cheaper for me to send them international from me than to try to drop ship them.
Okay.
I did have them here for that, but it worked out. It was like $1 cheaper just to have, drop ship it than me to physically mail it otherwise. So.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So if we're setting up a free offer, something like that contest or anything else, what are good ways to get traffic to those free offers?
The best way to get traffic to your offers, other than emailing your list, the coloring community, again, we're going back to community, is so, they're so active. They want to show their stuff. All right. And there are a lot of people that they turn to coloring as a way to cope with physical or emotional issues that they're having in their lives. And they color for hours and hours and hours each day. And then they go around to groups and they post their stuff. So why not be in contact with some of those people that are posting the most stuff and say, hey, would you like to have free access to some of our pages in advance? I'd love to make you a partner in this, and feel free to share it. And believe it or not, that strategy works.
Yeah, I believe it. Great. Actually, because when your community does the work for you, that's one of the best things, because it's word of mouth, right? It's not you making an ad or trying to convince anyone of anything. It's them talking about you, and in such a natural way as well. Oh, that's great. Any other suggestions?
And this one was a harder one for me. I'm going to be honest. It was a work in progress, but I fully believe in community, not just on the colorist side, but community on the coloring page owner's side as well. Find affiliate partners, find people that you can do events with and you can share customers. There's a lot in the retail space. It does take a little bit more of I'm not stealing from you. I'm not stealing your customers from you. There are customers that will identify with you and not with the other person, and vice versa. And when we share and when we get together and when we have a group effort, like a bundle event, or just, promoting their pages when they come out, type of a sharing situation in an affiliate program, that is a great way to build a business. And we did over time, we had some partners that were very happy and willing to work with us, and others that just didn't get it. So it does take a little bit of effort and a little bit of, having that conversation more than once and building relationships with other partners. But that's a great way as well. We also posted our giveaway like all over the place. We had like a list of places that did like just promoted giveaways. So we promoted our giveaway within all of those different websites and gained a lot of new people that way. And thinking outside the box, if people are coloring, what else are they doing? Where else are your customers? That was the big question that, I do a mastermind on Tuesdays. And when we're talking about list building, when we're talking about gaining new customers, the number one question to ask is, who has my customers? What are they doing? Where do they go when they're not spending time with you? And that might be a competitor in the coloring world. That might be that they're doing a completely different craft. Maybe they stamp, do the stamps and the scrapbooking. Your customers are unique to your niche and to your, even a coloring book person and another coloring person might have a completely different market. So talk to your customers, ask them. I literally did this once. I did 20 interviews with customers and they were so happy to do it. We did Zoom and I asked them a series of very personal questions. I asked them everything from what worries you at night, what keeps you up and makes you stay up in the middle of the night, to who did you vote for president? I mean, I totally asked, I did. And I warned them in advance. I said, I'm going to ask some intimate questions and I'll send you a coloring book. I sent them a coloring book. And I got some surprising answers. Like, especially
so these were private, like you did these recordings.
Yeah, it was just
private. Okay.
Just for me, so that I could determine, who has my customers. I could determine what kind of coloring books and products should we be creating and which ones do we steer clear from. I actually, based on that survey, I actually tanked a coloring package that we completed. We made the entire book. I threw it out because it wouldn't have resonated with my customers. And I didn't know that because I hadn't taken the time before that to ask them. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole there and tangent about getting to know your audience and your market. But when you find things that are commonalities, where are they all going? Where are they spending their time? Then you can connect with that source and see, get some creative ideas and see how you can work together.
Yeah, I like the questions too, because they're more about who they are. A lot of us, people will do surveys of their customers and they ask, would you buy this? Would you? But when you ask somebody like that, they might think they would buy something, or you don't get as good information, but you're learning about the people. And the more you know about the people, and it takes the time, over time, you kind of understand who they are and you have a vision of who your ideal customer is, and everything you do can speak towards them. So yes, I love that. Yeah. And you probably got me, or was it all just totally personal, or it was about coloring as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was about coloring as well. I wanted to know why they colored, and most of it, like I said, for the people that I had that were following me, the majority of them were coloring to distract themselves from either a physical or an emotional ailment. They were using it as treatment, as therapy.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to keep in mind too. Like, I mean, we think it's just coloring, but it's, it has an impact. It can change people's lives, and maybe in your community, you may, connect with them in another way. Personal advice you can give that's relevant to them. And when you were talking about the affiliates, I was thinking too, like, say someone who is doing like pets or dogs or something like that. There's a lot of ways to connect with different communities, or there's
Mhm.
lots of, there's famous dogs on Instagram with these huge
Yes,
followings. You could do coloring pages or a book about that dog, and like different ways to connect with those people. It doesn't always have to be, like you said, people who sell coloring pages. It could be other stuff
exactly.
that they sell.
And
Yeah.
it's when we start to think outside the box and we make those connections with people
Yeah.
and connect our coloring pages or our business to them. That's when the success really comes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people that are listening to this right now, you can go out and do every single thing that I said, like buy the book, right? And your results are going to vary from another person that does every single thing by the book. Don't do it by the book. Make your own book, make it up as you go, and take chances and make weird connections and just ask. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? Either A, they're going to say no, or B, you're going to do it and it didn't work.
Exactly. And you're going to learn, you'll learn from it, right? Or
Exactly.
it'll work a little bit and you'll figure out what that part that worked was, and you build on it from there. Like, yeah, I think you do need to try doing different things, because I know a lot of people will, they'll get on Etsy, they'll just keep uploading coloring books, maybe try to optimize them for keywords or something like that, but it doesn't go further than that. But you're showing, I think, our personalities, and even if you maybe think you're not, like I hate talking in video, but I also enjoy it. It's not my favorite thing. I mean, I get so much out of doing stuff like this that if I could avoid it, I might. But it's so helpful. It's so useful that, getting, we people like us for who we are. And I have strange quirks that I do. I laugh too much. I laugh inappropriately, but then everyone's like, "Oh, I love your laugh." I'm like, "Oh my gosh," what I wasn't laughing at that moment, but I was. But it's like that, people connect with you. And that's one of the biggest things you have here too, especially if they're using our done for you coloring pages or yours as well. Like, they're always worried about, how do I make them unique? And yes, I mean, you should invest in doing something that makes those things stand out too, but you can stand out just by the kind of community you create, how you help your customers, all that kind of stuff.
Because people follow people, they don't follow coloring pages.
Yeah. Unless they're like fabulous, like amazing artwork, but maybe most of us aren't capable of that, or have the budget for that, those kinds of things. Right. So totally. So when it comes to a sales page or a product description, what kind of things would you put in there to make sure it effectively sells the product?
We are in a beautiful market with coloring pages because they literally speak for themselves. Just make sure they can see the pages. And that might be that you put, an image with all of them in there, or we do videos so that you can see kind of like we flipped through the book, the digital book, and they can see each page in full. And, other than that, we like to, I've been doing where our packages are generally about 30 pages or so. And we have I'll give it a title, even if it doesn't have words on it, just so that it has like a description.
Yeah.
So I'll put like page 1, girl in white dress. And of course it's white, nobody's colored it yet. But, so that it has a little bit of, oomph behind it. But really it's going to speak for itself if you put it out there and you show them, what it looks like. And our customers, our retail customers, we only offered our pages in PDF format. Because if we sent them in a JPEG or something like that, they wouldn't know how to print it. They wouldn't know what to do with it. And you have to assume that they don't have much computer experiences. So we sent it in two ways. We sent it each page in one little zip file and a completely separate link with the one link that all of the pages were together. That way they could just print off this if they didn't figure out how to unzip that. And they had both options. So.
And going back to the video, you said flip through a digital book. How do you make a video like that?
I think the software, there's little softwares that you can get. I think it's called Next Flipbook or Flipbook Pro, something to that effect.
Oh, cool. Okay.
If you guys want to come and hit me up for it later, I will look for the exact one that I use. I think I spent under $100. It might have been at $100 for the software. And then you just throw the images in and it just goes, it makes a page sound, it goes as it's turning the page.
Wow, really? Wow. Oh, you're also in our group, our eKit Hub group.
Yes.
So they can post in there too, and I can find you.
Yes.
Anything else about sales pages, descriptions? Like they want to know how many pages, they want to know what anything else? What else do they want to know?
That's about all that we've ever done is here's the package. This is the theme. You know, maybe it's mermaids, maybe it's, you know, dragons or whatever the theme is. Mm-hmm. Here's a short description of this many pages and here's how you buy it. It doesn't take much. We've never, ever done a big, long sales letter about why they should buy it. It's a coloring page. So.
Totally makes sense. So how do you get repeat purchases or ongoing business that keeps coming in?
I highly suggest, if you have the means to do it, to set up a recurring subscription product. You know, having that reoccurring income, your expenses are met. You know, when you get it going, you've launched it, you know generally how much money you're spending each month. You can look at that and say, oh, look, my expenses for this month are met. So anything I sell on top of that is profit. And so having a reoccurring income is just huge. So getting a subscription product is my number one tip. And this is going to sound ridiculous, but just email your list. Tell them about your new products.
And grow the list.
Yes, grow the list. Be consistent about putting out new products and be consistent about letting them know about the new products. Because there's nothing worse than sticking new products up on a site and getting distracted or intimidated by emailing a list and saying, oh, well, I just don't need to do it this time, maybe next time, and then wondering why there's no sales. Yeah. You have to tell people that you've just added something new. So letting them know is the biggest thing to do, believe it or not.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time in the group. Like people always say, oh, I don't want to be too promotional or whatever. But just they signed up because they like coloring pages. They want to know. They can't guess. They're not coming to your website. The internet is so different. You know, in the past, like maybe 17 years ago, we would often go to the same websites every day and check them. Maybe there was a blog, but now they all go to social media or they check their email. So you have to tell them. And just think of it, you know, they're a friend of yours who loves coloring. And if you know of something great for them, you're going to tell them about it. Just tell them.
You know, and I personally like it when people unsubscribe. Because that just means we're not the right fit, and that's fine.
It is okay.
It's totally fine if somebody subscribes to your list, previews you for a week or two, and says, not me. There's no sense in feeling regret or feeling that, you know, ashamed that they've done that. They're just, you know, chocolate or vanilla. Today I'll take chocolate. Vanilla's not doing it for me, right? And when they unsubscribe, then I don't have to pay for them.
Exactly. So. True. Yeah. And there's not. Yeah. The more that unsubscribe is. Yeah, you're honing your list of people who want to buy, just because that's what we're talking about earlier. Yeah. We want people like, yes, some people are there just for the free stuff and they'll probably stay on your list for the free stuff. Oh. And that's totally fine too, because those are the people who might share their, like you said, their coloring and stuff like that. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I never look at how many people unsubscribe or worry about that at all. All right. So those are the questions Yusuf and I wanted to ask you. And we have some questions from our customers we asked ahead of time. There are just a few, if you have time for those.
Absolutely.
And so Robin wants to know, what types of pages do you find sell best? Is it intricate scenes or more simple line drawings?
Well, my market was coloring books for adults. So ours were more intricate. And having said that, there is definitely room for some of the more simplistic drawings, even in the adult market, because people have arthritis and it is hard for them to color the little teeny, tiny details. So we always kept that in mind. Our monthly program that we did, we had a variety of images, and every month we did 10 mandalas. And our artists were instructed to do 5 intricate and 5 more simplistic, specifically to address the needs of those that had a hard time coloring the teeny tiny details.
Right.
So we did have a mix, and it's always been something that I work with a team. In case we haven't said that, I can't draw a straight line to save my life. Never have been able to, which is a beautiful thing because I've never had to pretend that I could draw and then be upset with what I drew. It's like, no, this is not going to happen. There's definitely going to have to be people helping me with this. So I've always been very clear to my artists to not leave a ton of white space for us because that's what my market liked. But to have something fill in, a pattern fill in, something that was giving them, because again, having talked with my people, I knew that they were doing this for a therapy and they wanted to spend time on their pages. And that was what fit their needs the best. So, it's going to really depend on your market. I personally am under the belief that adult coloring pages should be more complicated than kids.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And so I have just a personal question for you. So you don't draw, but you do enjoy coloring, right?
I do. Yeah. What the motto is, you have permission to color outside the lines, because often when I'm doing these Facebook lives and I'm coloring, I'd make mistakes and I'd be like, oops, yep, mistake, not the end of the world. Let's keep going. And so yeah, anybody can color. And that's so fun because it is art, it is expression. And for those of us that really can't draw and really don't have that artistic ability in other ways, pick up a crayon, pick up a marker, and make something beautiful. So.
So Tiffany wants to know, how many pages should each book be?
We always did ours generally between 20 and 30. And we didn't really want to go too far past that because again, if you give them too many, if you give them, hey, this is 100-page pack, that seems like a lot. It seems like in their mind, it's going to take them a long time to go through that. So if they've just purchased 100 pages in one package, they're not going to want to purchase another package because they still have to make their way through that one. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives your pages a bit more value as well, right?
Yes.
But in the printed book, like even for printed books,
printed books we would generally do 20.
Okay. And people aren't like, I am not a colorer, however, is that a word? But do customers get surprised? Like, because when I think of coloring books, I think of something thicker. Probably I'm thinking of kids coloring books too, right? Occupied because they scribble on each page and I'm done. Or I don't want to do that one. Don't want to do that one.
Yeah, it's just as simple as however many you put in there, you just make sure that that's in the description.
That it's clear, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if you're doing Amazon, make sure you email customer service so that look inside feature shows all of the pages. So I think they do it randomly, or it gets, and it might have changed recently because it's been a little while since I put stuff up on KDP, but it used to be that you could contact them and say, hey, I'd like 90% of the book to be shown instead of the 10 that was, they just show you the first page. Yeah. That way they can see more than me.
Good tip. So Tiffany also wants to know if you print on the front and the back of the pages.
No, if you're doing a printed book, always put a blank page behind the coloring page. So the coloring page should be on the right, and then the left pages should always be blank. Especially if you're using like a drop shipper, like Lulu or Amazon, their pages are not thick.
Right.
And so even with that blank page on the back, you're going to want to encourage your customers. And again, this is because you have a community and you're talking with them, right? even in your description on Amazon, you're going to want to put a bleed page in between the pages.
Yeah, if you're using markers, right?
Yes,
for sure.
Because if you use a marker, it's not just going to go through to the back, it's going to go through to the next page too.
Yeah.
So just make sure that always put a blank page behind.
Okay. Sounds good. So Dee, she sells planners and journals, but rarely puts any coloring graphics in it. So she's also asking, like, what kind of project would you recommend for someone like her who says she's not creative in art? What could she start with?
PLR. Oh my goodness. So there is so much PLR out there that if you're interested in combining your journals with coloring pages, and this is my favorite thing to do with the coloring pages, is there is a topic. There is a coloring pages package on whatever topic journal or planner that you're putting out there. I don't care if you're putting out a dog care journal or you're putting out a manifesting your destiny journal or anything in between. Somebody's created coloring pages for it, and Alice probably knows who it is. and so you can weave those coloring pages into the journal in appropriate places. We have a whole line of like affirmation coloring pages that are on different topics. And we did those purposefully with intention, knowing that people use them in their journals. So yeah, and you don't have to necessarily put, here's all the journal and then here's all the coloring pages, especially if you're doing a printed page. You know, you've got, this is a couple of journal pages, then tuck a coloring page in, a couple more journal pages, tuck another coloring page in. And just remember, if you're printing, to make that page on the back a blank page.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great tip. I agree. It's already done for you. You don't have to be creative in art.
You don't have to create, and it's making it unique because nobody else, even if it's PLR that you've bought for the coloring pages and PLR that you've bought with the journal pages, just the fact that you're mixing and matching it makes your product unique and will make it different than everybody else's.
Yeah. Yeah, because and as a a journal that's for writing, but the coloring gives them time to think and like
process
their thoughts maybe about what they write or what they're going to write next. It is a nice way to break it up, and even if they don't color it, it looks nice in their book too. So
yes,
yeah.
Illustrations.
So Sheena wonders if you have any recommendations for using those PLR, and we don't always use the term PLR at eKit Hub. We often say done for you, commercial use content, but basically it's that. It stands for private label rights, which means you can edit it, you can brand it if you want, put it into your books. It's your content to sell as an end product. So Sheena wants to know if you have any recommendations for using those, but making them more unique.
Well, really, you can do anything that you want with them. You can take aspects of the coloring page and you can put them in and make them a journal page. You can put like big circles on top of coloring pages and allow people to write in them. You can do the mix and match, which is what we were just talking about in the question right before. Really the sky's the limit. It's where is your creativity and what do you want to do with it? Because the options are available. I really like, if you want to make a unique coloring page, a coloring book, and you do not have any coloring skills, acquire a lot of done for you coloring pages and take different ones out of different packages and make your own coloring book, just regular coloring book out of multiple different ones. And I say this because this is my method, because again, I don't draw. So anything that I would want edited on a page, I literally do not have the skills. I don't have the skills to change file formats. I send everything back to my graphic artist. So I try my best to make it as easy and as simple as possible. So I don't have to engage the cost of getting my graphic artist to do something. And I don't have to learn something that I really don't want to learn. So that's my biggest method, is mixing and matching, throwing some blank journal pages in between. It's really, you can do anything with done for you content. It's so fun.
Yeah, and when you've got that library of it too, you can always come up with a free offer. You can come up with a new book. You've got stuff to put in those journals, planners, whatever, any type of book that you put together. So it's great to have on hand for sure. And I like the idea of adding like that, because I've done that too. You just add if you want to add text to it, you can just put a shape in behind and then you put the text on top. So Maria wants to know, can you make coloring drawings of things like well-known landmarks, or is there some sort of trademark law for buildings and statues?
We always need to look up trademarks because there might be on a specific place. I know we did a lot of coloring books on like tourist attractions. So we took like pictures that we found online that people had taken of different places. And then we had the artists look at the different pictures and come up with their interpretation of something to color there. Some of them are national parks or state parks and stuff like that. We did do one on Disney, and I made it very clear.
I'm scared.
Right. No, follow me. I'm like, you may not have any buildings, you may not have any characters. Like, do a sky and make it like look like Orlando, the city, and just write that Disney World is an attraction in it. So we really were conscious about the fact that we could get into trouble with that. So do it, you can do it, but you got to do it carefully, and you got to do it logically, right? So we weren't going to put in Goofy, holding a sign that says "Welcome to Disney World" that you could go and take a picture of there. That's not what we did. Yeah. And always look up trademarks and verify.
Legal advice if you need to, because we're not offering it. We're just giving you some thoughts.
Exactly.
But when it comes to national parks and stuff like that, the government, at least US government, that I would think there's no problem with that. Would there be? Because I know that all their documents are not copyright. So I don't know.
Right. And I mean, and what exactly are we doing here? How are we taking are we taking a picture and using that picture? And you know what I mean? It's like, it's an interpretation. It's an artist's rendition of an experience. So, it's just something to keep in mind that there might be muddy water, and
for sure.
You need to make sure that you're doing what makes the most sense for your business, or abandoning the ideology.
Yeah, if in doubt, just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
And we did not tell you what to do because we don't really know. All right. And Gil wants to know the process, because this is what people are probably thinking listening to you, because you have artists that work for you. She wants to know the process of how to and where to outsource drawings from, if you want to hire someone directly.
I can give you a website, and I will say, and I'll give it to you. But I will say,
write it down.
It will be a disservice to you to just try to go on there and create an account and hire an artist. It is a process. It is a lengthy process that is kind of trial and error. It's probably our number one topic that we talk about in our mastermind is navigating that field, everything from how do you create an ad to now what do you do with the artist now that you got them, how much do you pay them, all of these things. There's a lot of information, more than we could share here. But where I get them is I work exclusively with Filipino artists. There's no good, bad, right, or wrong about that. That's just what I was introduced to when I started outsourcing, and it's a culture that I am now comfortable with. And today I just paid them all their 13th month bonus, which happens once a year, and it's like their Christmas bonus. And that's something that I know because I've worked with them for more than a decade, right? So the job site that I go to is onlinejobs.ph. And you can create an account. It costs like $100 for a month for you to post jobs. And you can do that. You can look around at what other people have done as far as their ads and what they're paying. And then you can create your own ad. Just make sure that you go in and cancel the subscription immediately, because you're not going to need it for more than a month.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good tip. And also what you said about because you're working with them and you understand their culture, language that you guys communicate well, because sometimes there is a learning curve to that, right?
There is.
So by working with a variety of artists from the same place, you kind of get a handle on that as well. What do you think about using Fiverr to hire people? Because they do have people who draw there.
Yeah, I've not had a lot of success with that. I did dip my toes into that briefly, and I did hire for a couple of services, and it just wasn't my thing. People that have found that it works for them, keep doing it. If it's not broken, if something's working for you, keep doing it. And there's so much room in this world for us to become experts on one thing that is most meaningful to us. So if you're finding success with Fiverr and you're listening to me say, oh, well, Rayven doesn't like Fiverr, I guess I'm not going to use it anymore. Don't listen to me. Go do it. If it's working for you, keep doing it. It wasn't the best use of my time. So thank you for sharing what works for you. That's great. And I'm mentoring your mastermind as well, because we're going to talk about that shortly too. We have a couple of questions, and then we have
something for everybody else if they want to get a little more in depth as well. So Beth and we touched on this a little, but maybe you have some more ideas. Looking for ideas on using coloring pages in other ways, for example, the journals, the planners, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there are so many different ways that you can use coloring pages. And like we were talking about the journals and the planners and that type of thing. You can take coloring pages. I actually had one of our customers that would color her coloring pages. Then she'd scan them into the computer, and then she would print them out on like shopping bags and totes and stuff. She said,
"Oh, nice, yeah,
so cute." And like iron-on patches, they would do things like that with them. You can put them on mugs and t-shirts and blankets if you wanted to. All of that is an option for you. And you can even think outside the box as far as if you're selling digital products even. What about going to restaurants that have coloring pages available for their patrons while they're waiting for their meals? How fun would it be if they had a variety of pages that they could just print off at their own printer and hand out there? There's adult homes that would need that type of thing, and nursing homes that would enjoy that. So, selling coloring pages doesn't have to be just a one end user online in an Amazon or Etsy or your own site transaction. There's so many different ideas for doing it, and really the sky's the limit. And what interests you?
Yeah, I'm thinking of teachers as well too, classrooms, and have you ever used or know people who use that Teachers Pay Teachers website?
Yes, one of my masterminders is big on Teachers Pay Teachers.
Yeah, mm-hmm. So that's where you can post stuff where it can be free, they can buy it, and the prices are like, they command a decent price there, right? Yes. For stuff, so that they can use it in their classroom as well. So you could even make a lesson around like color certain types of coloring pages if they're on a certain topic and things like that, to make it even more valuable. Thank you. And actually, when Beth asked the question, she mentioned calendars, and I love that idea too, right?
Yes.
Beth calendar, or a daily flip calendar with a little thing to color each day. That would be cool too. A lot of pages for a full year, but
or you could just do like the 12 months. So you could do one big picture.
No, that's what I said that first, and then I was like the little desk calendar. So I guess we've gotten through all those questions, but maybe for those who are, this is brand new to them, what is the simplest way to get started?
I love this question because the answer to the simplest way to get started is just to start. I think that so many of us have made up in our heads that we have to know every single piece of the equation and all the things that we have to do before we take that first step, but it's actually the opposite that's true. You don't need to know how to do any of the things. All you need to do is what's next. So the very next step, and that's going to vary widely depending on where you're at in your business as you're listening to this. If you're just getting started, well, maybe that first step is to get clear about who it is that you'd like to work with, who your target market is. Maybe your next step is to start that website and put that email opt-in on the page. Maybe your next step is to list your new product. Whatever it is, you don't have to worry about, we were talking earlier about, should you just stay on Amazon and just stay on Etsy, or should you have your own site? And I said, well, you need to have your own site, but that doesn't need to be the next step, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to be a step. And you don't need to know how to design a WordPress website in order to list your first product on Etsy, all right? Yeah. Just do what's next. And when that has happened, the door will open for the next step. And it's like this through life in general, and business especially, that, there's going to be doors that are going to open for you, and new ideas and new things to do that you haven't even thought of yet. And if you have to get through, I need to do this in order to do this, then you're actually not going to even notice when those opportunities happen. So just do the very next thing. You guys, you know the Secret. You've seen that. Remember the movie The Secret? And they say that in order to get the things that you want in life, it's ask, believe, receive.
Okay. Yes.
They forgot a step. Ask, believe, act.
Yeah.
And receive. You actually have to do the work. So just do that next thing. Do what's next.
And I like that too. Like I'm totally a fly by the seats by my feet kind of person. So I actually don't care if I make mistakes or if my next choice is the right one. It can be fixed. We're on the internet.
Exactly.
Like, I would be horrible if I ran a brick and mortar business. I'm sure of that, because I would make these impulsive decisions that were totally wrong. But online, I learned so much just by doing those things. And I like how, so you start with Etsy, and so you list a few products, and maybe, the traffic's not coming, you're not making those sales, but you start to build a community. Maybe you start a Facebook group or something. But all those products that you've added to Etsy are now in your library of products. You have so many options as it grows. So say, you've done 10 products or something like that, not sold that many. Now you've got an option to do bundles. You have an option to take those and put them in journals. Like, there's so many different things that you can do with it. The work that you've done is not wasted.
Never.
But you just need to keep taking it to the next step.
Exactly. And, there's so much fear of failure. There really is no such thing as failure. There is experience. There is growth. There is, no, not that. Let's not do that again. But every part of it pushes us forward to the next opportunity, to the next idea, and to the next path to take. So there's no wrong way to do it. It's just about doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just one more question. So as far as community goes, do you have any preference, because obviously anything can work, but preference on platform? Like, how do you build that community? How do you communicate with them? What's your favorite?
So ideally, you'd want to know where your community is hanging out. You'd want to get clear about who it is that you want to be in relationship with, who you want to market to, and find out where they are. And a lot of them are on Facebook. They really are. So, that might be a starting point, but don't be afraid to try something new if the opportunity presents itself. There was a lot of talk about Twitch a couple of years ago that people were doing whole shows over there. They were doing arts and crafts over there. And I couldn't wrap my head around it.
I remember it, but I don't remember what it was.
I really wanted to try it out, and I was tempted. I was watching things. I was dipping a toe in. And then I talked to my audience. They're like, we don't know what that is. No, we're not over there. So, it's really about where your people are. My people weren't on Twitter, so there was no point for me even to, keep up with an account there. They were on Facebook, and they were on YouTube to a certain extent. So find out where your people are. And then
go from there. And that's a great piece of advice overall too. Like, everyone's saying, okay, I got to put it on Etsy, I got to put it on Amazon, I got to have an Instagram, I got to have all these. No, you don't. Just start simple. Find out where they are, or if you go there and you find out they're not there, then try something different. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful, action-packed hour of great content and really smart insight from you. Thank you so much. And I know, and you've mentioned